to the February 14th meeting of the City of Lowell License Commission. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. And was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Okay. First on the agenda?
Commission will now take up the matter of a special one-day license application for malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Joseph Pugh of the Heinz's Tavern for Sunday, March 10th, 2013, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The event is the Heinz's Road Race. Concession to be located in the parking lot of Heinz's Tavern at 465-467 Gorham Street.
Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Joe Buell, Heinz Tavern.
Okay. And Joe, how long have you been doing this race?
10 years.
10 years, okay. And Captain Webb, have we had any issues with Heinz Tavern?
No, there's never been a problem to my knowledge.
Okay. I don't know if either other commissioner has any comments?
No.
Okay. I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Good luck.
Thank you.
And just one other item, and that is with respect to the Heinz's Road Race. There's an application for a special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment by the corporation, Ocean Bridge Corporation, Joseph Pugh, President, in conjunction with the Heinz's Road Race for Sunday, March 10th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the outdoor venue being the parking lot of Heinz's Tavern at 465-467 Gorham Street.
Once again, introduce yourself for the record.
Joe Buell, Heinz Tavern.
Okay, Joe, the amplified public outdoor entertainment's a common sense license. The people in the Highlands don't want to hear what's going on at your road race. Any other questions?
No questions.
No.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Commission will now take up the application by the Liquor Shop, Inc., the all-alcoholic beverage package store licensee at 1201 Bridge Street, for a change of manager from Aaron Joseph Garvey to George M. Miamis of Dracut, who is the owner of the business.
Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Greg Curtis, representing the Liquor Shop, Inc., and with me is George Miamis.
And could you just explain what you're doing?
Basically, Mr. Garvey no longer works at the Liquor Shop, Inc. George has been the owner of the liquor shop since 1991. He was the manager of record up until about 5 years ago when he opened up a second store in Tingsboro, put the license under his name in Tingsboro. That store is since no longer operating. Mr. Garvey is no longer an employee at the liquor shop, so George is coming back to work full-time as the owner and manager of the Liquor Shop, Inc.
Okay. Captain Webb, have we had any problems with the liquor shop?
No issues.
Okay, great. Well, you've been in the role before, and the police department said they haven't had any issues. I don't know if any of the other commissioners have any comments.
No.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Commission will now take up the matter of an application by the Courtyard Management Corporation, doing business as Courtyard by Marriott, the all-alcoholic beverage hotel licensee at 30 Industrial Ave East, for change of manager from Joseph Tutela to Michael J. Lassard of Auburn.
Would you introduce yourself for the record?
I'm Michael Lassard.
Okay. Michael, have you ever been a manager of with a license that serves alcohol?
I have up in Nashville, New Hampshire for 6.5 years.
Okay. And were there any issues up there?
There was not.
There was not. Okay. And how long have you been at the Courtyard in Lowell?
2 months.
2 months. Okay. Great. And could you just explain the setup of what the bar is like at the Courtyard Marriott, or what type of service you have?
Actually, we don't have a bar. We have a small market. We sell food and some sodas. So you have a cabinet with those beverages that are locked up to the general public that has beer and some wines.
Okay. And how many employees would serve the alcohol? Is it everyone that works the front desk, or is there certain designated employees? How does that work?
No, everyone in the front desk is tip certified, so they're able to sell liquor and beer out of the market there.
Okay, great. I don't have any questions. Any further questions? No. Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. You're all set. It just has to go to Boston to be approved.
Thank you, sir.
all the abutters were are here. Yeah, they're in there. The affidavit has it. Okay, great.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the application by Mariachi Foods, Inc., doing business as El Potro Mexican Grill, Joseph M. Carrero Jr., a corporate director, for an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for premises at 124 Merrimack Street, unnumbered door at south side of the building, first floor, one room for restaurant, kitchen, a storage area in the basement. The corporation is requesting that Joseph M. Carrero be approved as manager of record for Mariachi Foods, Inc., and as well as corporation has filed applications for common vitler license and for entertainment and a licensed restaurant for live music, disc jockey, jukebox.
If you could introduce yourself for the record?
Hi, my name is Joseph Carrero, and this is Elias Interiano. He's the principal officer of Mariachi Foods Incorporated.
Okay. And what is your role with the mariachi?
Presently, I'm the business manager and on the board of directors for the corporation.
Okay.
And I'm going to be, I'm the applicant for the liquor license.
Okay, great. And has the corporation ever held a license?
Yes, we presently have a restaurant in Somerville that's under license in the city of Somerville.
Okay, and what type of license is it going to be? What type of restaurant is it going to be?
It's going to be Central American and Mexican fare. Our primary role in having the liquor license is to basically be able to, for folks to be able to drink while they're eating. We're going to be more a restaurant that serves liquor than a bar. It's not our intention to be a bar.
And what's your target clientele?
A target clientele, that's an interesting question. Really, we don't necessarily, I wouldn't say that we have a target. We like to serve, families as well as, individuals coming in. Mr. Interiano is also the owner of a mariachi band, so we oftentimes like to keep a very festive, very Latin-flavored atmosphere to the restaurant and bring folks in to have a fun meal and hopefully enjoy themselves.
The reason why I asked that question is because there's establishments in the city that start off saying they're going to cater to some certain demographic or age group, and they change their business model somewhere through when they, especially with the university being downtown, having a significant student body downtown, a lot of establishments seem to, change their business plan to cater to those students. And there's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. It's just you have to be
Right.
a little more vigilant when you have, 19, 20, 21-year-olds
Right.
coming into your establishment. So.
Absolutely. No, we exist in Union Square in Somerville. Somerville's a very college town. Primarily where we live, there's a lot more graduate students than, traditional college students like UMass Lowell would have around here. But we focus a lot to young professionals in our restaurant in Somerville. That's a big segment of our clientele. So, that's where we would be, our aim would be is really to kind of not change our dynamic as to how we do things.
Okay, and how many employees are you gonna have, roughly?
10.
About 10,
Okay, and are they TIPS trained and certified?
yes.
Yes, okay, all right, and they're all trained on how to check IDs and what
Yes.
IDs are
We-
valid
we-
within
We
the
haven't
Commonwealth of
hired
Massachusetts?
everybody yet, but everybody we make sure is trained before they serve us in the restaurant.
Okay,
Do you do internal training, or does everybody do the tips training?
Both. We make sure that folks, we're constantly doing continuing education is what I like to call it, to make sure people are aware of the situations that may emerge. We are on the newsletters and the internet forums with regard to, updates as to different things that the tips trainers want us to make sure the staff is aware of. So we do that, and then everybody takes the formalized training before they work in the restaurant.
You said Mexican and Central American food.
Yes, sir.
Culturally, in Central America, young people drink before the age of 21? Is this something you're gonna have to be paying attention to with your clientele, which will be attracted?
That's a good question. Yeah, Central America is 18. You have to be 18 to drink. But we know that the law in the United States is 21. So yeah, we're,
Thank you.
We're very careful in that regard. Mr. Interiano's, it's a family-run business. Mostly everybody who works in our Summerville restaurant is a family member. And Mr. Interiano has a teenage son, and we're oftentimes very careful, even though he's very charismatic to be in the front of the house, that we never allow him even near alcohol in the serving process or anything, because we want to make sure that we're not creating the appearance as if we would, engage in some impropriety with regard to the laws.
Now, have you had any alleged violations in Somerville during the,
None at all. We're not required to, but we have private security that works there at our busiest times, which are Thursday through Sunday, usually when we have karaoke or the band, the mariachi band there. We oftentimes, encourage our staff to, to be ultra conservative with regard to the service of alcohol, and that if we feel like somebody's getting a little too boisterous, we'll shut them off early, because Mr. Interiano has been in the business of restaurants for, many, many years, and he doesn't want any instances of incidents and, going on.
great. All right, well, this is a public hearing, so we'll open it up. If there's anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this license, in favor, introduce yourself.
My name is John Femia. I'm the business, I'm the owner of the property.
Yes.
And I've met with these two, and I told them about the problems we had with tenants in the past, and made them very aware that that was not something we were interested in renting to someone like that. And we went down and talked to them and saw what their operation was like, and it's very family-oriented, and it's older. It's an older clientele. It's not a college type of place, and it's not a drinking bar. It's a restaurant.
That's great, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Anyone to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That being, none being seen, that portion of the hearing is closed. I think the proposal looks like a good one. You're making an investment in the city of Lowell. It's great to have new businesses come to the downtown, and it really enhances the lifestyle of all the residents of the city. So you would have my full support. Anyone has any
No
other comments?
Motions?
Okay.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
thank you.
Christie, it's all yours.
Commission will now open a hearing, public hearing on the application by Sampé Mayas Hall, Inc., Kimberly Mam, President, for the transfer of the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license for Sampé Mayas, Inc., Seth A. Payao, President, for premises at 450 Chelmsford Street, there being 2 unnumbered doors west side, 3 unnumbered doors south side of the building. First floor is a one-function hall with 11 rooms, which is some approximate total of 10,900 square feet. Second floor has a small office, or small office is approximately 480 square feet. It is requested that Kimberly Mam be approved as the manager of record for the corporation Sompe Mayas Hall, Inc. Also, the corporation has filed application for common vitler license and entertainment in a licensed restaurant for live music disc jockey jukebox. This application is simply a transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license, and it doesn't, even though there was a public notice in the local newspaper, it doesn't necessitate a notice to the abutters on the transfer.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Kevin Murphy, I represent both the licensee and the proposed transferee. Madam Chairperson, Commissioner, I've represented the family from the moment that they started operating this business on Chelmsford Street in Lowell. This started out as a restaurant, now it's a function hall, doing weddings, other functions specifically for the Southeast Asian community. They've been running a wonderful business, I think, without incidents. I know we had one incident when it first opened up 10 years ago, but there have been no incidents since then. Mother and father have been running the business. Daughter has been participating in the business with mother and father. Unfortunately, grandmother in Southeast Asia has taken ill, and mother has to go back to Southeast Asia to take care of the grandmother, so it's going to be a very difficult time, and they cannot spend the time in the function hall running it. So what they are proposing is to transfer ownership of the business and the license to their daughter, who has been working in that business for years, is very familiar with the business, has taken the TIPS program, correct?
Yes.
And is familiar with the requirements about serving alcohol. And we're asking that you allow the transfer of this license from Sampao Mies, Inc. to Sampao Mies Hall, Inc., who is the daughter in this particular family enterprise.
Okay. Kimberly, ma'am. So you have a lot of experience. You've worked with your parents for quite some time.
Yes, and I've taken the TIPS course.
Okay. Do you plan on making any changes to the business, or you like the restaurant to remain primarily the same?
I'm gonna keep it the same.
Okay.
It works.
Do you have any questions?
Do you have any education in this area? Did you take food service or something like that? Or-
I am also the food service, ServSafe. I am also certified for ServSafe. So, yeah.
And is anyone going to be around for the transitional period? I know your mother has to leave very soon. Is your father or any other family
He'll be
members
around,
going to be helping you?
She'll be in and out.
Okay.
Yeah. They'll both be around.
And as you stated, there's only been one issue 10 years ago?
When we first opened, believe it or not, the first night, because it was incredible, but the first night there was an issue, we resolved that issue, and I believe that there hasn't been any incidents
Okay.
in 10 years.
Captain Webb, is that no issues?
I'm aware of a couple of issues over the last several years, but I don't think they resulted in any violations against a licensee.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions, Cliff?
No.
I'm going to make a motion to approve transfer. Second. All those in favor, say aye. 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 Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Commission now to open a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, Superintendent of Police, against the licensee L&M Liquors, Inc., 424 Chelmsford Street. Leonia M. Mendonca is the manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage package store licensee for alleged violation of sale of alcohol beverages to a person under 21 years of age, there being one count. This was in conjunction with a Lowell Police Department compliance check.
Please state your name.
Kevin Murphy, I represent L&M Liquors, Inc. Must seem that I represent most of the businesses on Chelmsford Street. Basically, believe it or not, L&M Liquors is probably 2 doors down from the prior applicant for a license transfer. I've represented the owners of this strip mall. You probably know where the strip mall is. There's a Dunkin' Donuts on Chelmsford Street. This is diagonal from the Dunkin' Donuts. There's the Wash Saying. Just a little bit down, there's a Subway in the strip plaza. There used to be a insurance agency there, and there's also a takeout Chinese restaurant. The Golden House is there. Golden House is there. L&M Liquors is located there. Leona Mendonca is the owner. This is her brother-in-law, yes, who was present that evening. Let me just preface my remarks by saying I met with my clients about this. He gave me a reason why he thought it happened that night. It doesn't matter. They served a minor, and they shouldn't have served a minor. What do you have to say about what happened that evening?
Like I said, I agree that I made a mistake, and hopefully that won't happen again. I promise that unless he looks like a grandfather, and otherwise I'll be asking for an ID for every single person that I see in front of the counter.
And Leona, you're the owner of the business, and have you talked to your employees about this?
Yes,
Will you explain to the...
I have expressed myself over and over to them that it's very important to ask for IDs, and I am very sorry that it happened. And I put signs everywhere and make sure that I've taken everything into consideration to make sure that this never happens again.
Okay.
And I am very sorry that it did.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but we've gotten a little ahead of ourselves. Do you want this read into the record, the actual incident?
No, we agree that it happened.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your remorse and obviously everything else, but a couple questions. The clerk that served the alcohol to the minor, it's you, sir?
Yes, I was involved in the process.
Okay, so you were the one that's
Yes.
stated in the report?
Yes, I was
Okay.
involved, and like I said, I'm sorry it happened. It happened so fast that I didn't even, I see like 400 people there a day, and it just happened. I'm sorry it happened, and I'm pretty sure that it's not going to happen again because we all learn with mistakes.
Okay, are you,
Alberto.
okay. And I'm aware that there was another allegation in the summer. Were you also the clerk that?
No, I wasn't involved. As a matter of fact, that kid no longer works in the liquor store.
Okay, all
It
right.
was a temporary one.
Any other questions?
So what training have you received in this area?
Well, I did take the training to sell alcohol. I passed the exam. I've been approved to sell alcohol. So I know pretty much all the rules of serving alcohol.
How long ago did you take the training?
I'll say 2.5 years ago, probably around that. 2.5. The first and last, because that place has been under ownership of Leone for the last probably 3.5 years.
As I said, we agree that it happened. It was a quick incident that my client says, but it doesn't matter whether it was a quick incident. The person there was a minor. The alcohol was served, and what we're asking, though, is that obviously they understand the gravity of this offense, what it could mean to them from a business standpoint, and they have made representations that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that it will never happen again.
Yes.
Captain Weld, do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't have anything else to add as far as this incident goes, unless you'd like to hear a recitation of the facts, but agree with Attorney Murphy as to what he had to say about it.
All right, seeing as there was an allegation last summer that's on file, I see fit that we propose a 1-day suspension with 3 days held in abeyance. Make a motion to.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Thank you very, and like I said, the representation is that they will make sure that they're diligent in the future and not have this happen again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you outside.
Commissioner will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against the corporation known as DNY Corp., DBA Jerry's Food Store, number 2, at 207 University Avenue. Bhupendra Patel is the manager of record, the malt beverage and wine only package store licensee. Alleged violation of sale of alcohol beverage to a person under 21 years of age, 1 count. This is also a compliance check matter with the Lowell Police.
Please state your name.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, David Plunkett, an attorney from Lowell, Massachusetts, representing Bhupendra Patel, the manager and of the corporate entity that operates the store known as Jerry's Food Store number 2. Mr. Patel, was very much disturbed by what occurred that night. Mr. Patel had a worker. They had worked for him for approximately 8 months, but a very responsible individual, 55-year-old gentleman who actually held a master's degree in chemistry. That night, Mr. Patel had left to go home for dinner. When he arrived at home, he got the phone call that this incident had occurred. Needless to say, Mr. Patel was extremely upset. Understands the nature of the severity of any type of violation, and he immediately discussed this matter with his employee. At his home, he has the ability to view on a security-type camera to see the incident, and he discussed with the clerk, and the clerk was also very much upset and, explained that, that there were 2 other people in the store, that it shouldn't have happened, and it was agreed that that never should have happened. The clerk was actually terminated just because the clerk was also very much upset, and he's returned to India subsequent to that. Since that time, Mr. Patel, again, very much aware of the need to make certain that this doesn't happen again. He had installed at the store a scanning machine that scans, to make certain that the licenses that are presented are valid. Subsequent to this event, he has also installed on his cash register the safeguard to make certain that when you have any sale of any type of restricted substance, including alcohol or the tobacco for anyone under the age of 18, that there will be a requirement that the register won't allow that transaction to take place unless you manually queue in the date of birth of the person purchasing. So he's added a second level to the system that he had in place at that time, which was the actual scanner of the licenses to assure the validity of it. So, it's a situation where, Mr. Patel is very much aware of his obligations, and in May, he actually did receive notice from the, I think it was May, was it?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, May of last year, from the police department, telling them that they had run a similar type of situation and say that everything was done properly at that time. So, it's a situation, board members, that, Mr. Patel is a responsible businessman. He takes this extremely seriously. He had put into operation to have it that this incident would not have occurred, but unfortunately it did occur because the clerk at the time didn't follow the proper procedure. He has now added this additional level to make certain that it would not happen again.
Okay, sir. I was actually just reading the report, and it says that the clerk had a hard time communicating and did not appear to understand how to check patrons. How do you, in the future, plan on training your employees better?
He understand, but sometimes pronounces, that's why he won't understand that time, and he's upset, that's why, he won't answer, Otherwise, he's, educated also, But he pronounces, maybe, he won't understand that day, Due to the problem, maybe he, more, upset that time,
And you said this employee no longer works for you? This employee is no longer employed by you?
not
Okay. Are your new employees trained? Are your new employees trained?
I don't have it right now, but, I'm going to get, train and whatever, when I get,
Mr.
Right now,
Patel is manning the store himself at this point in time.
Okay.
Right
Yeah.
now.
I'm having a little difficulty with the sequence. You installed the machine that reads IDs after the previous event in the middle of 2011. And then this event was 14 September. When did you install this interlock where you have to put the date in?
I had, scanner before. Now I put, my register also, I add, that one more feature. Then when you scan beer, then register, scan, they can ask the date also. Before, I have no scanner, then I can see in scanner, okay, pass or fail,
And when did you install this second safeguard?
After right away, and I did, I call, my register.
I'm sorry, after when?
After happened that incident, then I did, another, that protocol.
So after the second incident?
Yeah, after, right, yeah.
Had the gentleman been in any way trained, the Mr. Patel, that Harsha Bhai Patel?
Yeah, I trained him, yeah.
You trained him, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he was remorseful. We would have had him appear here tonight to explain his actions, but as I said, he has returned to India, so he is not available.
Is this a permanent return or just a temporary return?
Permanent, but he's retired. That's why he's going back and coming back here.
Captain Webb, do you have anything further?
No, Madam Commissioner, not as far as this incident goes, but I do remember when Mr. Patel came in originally to apply for his license, it was stressed to him that he was applying for a license in the middle of the university area, and he would be a target, if you will, of underage students trying to come in there and buy alcohol. We have had incidents before with Mr. Patel's store, and I'm just not sure if he gets the seriousness of not selling to underage individuals.
Captain Webb, I think there was a mention that he'd successfully passed an inspection. Do we have some numbers, a ratio? How many times have the police gone by, and is it a large number of successes or a small number of tests that, and he's failed 2 of them in the last year and a half?
I don't have those numbers with me. We could certainly get them in the future. I do not think it would be an appreciably large number one way or the other. The same establishments aren't checked every time that we do a compliance check. But it would be true that he has passed compliance checks in the past.
Mr. Batal, this is very concerning to me, as the captain stated, just because of your proximity to the university, and I'm pretty certain there aren't very many compliance checks that go on throughout the course of the year. That being said, I'd like to propose a 1-day suspension with 3 days held in abeyance, just because of the proximity to the college, and also I take into consideration the concerns of the captain. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Attorney Steve Panagiotakis.
Okay, sure. Let them call the, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. Commission will now open the hearing on the matter of Vanakan doing business as Khmer Sports Club, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee for premises at 74 Middlesex Street, regarding the compliance with law for renewal of the liquor license for 2013, and regarding the entertainment license in a restaurant for live music, disc jockey, and jukebox. Specifically, Vanakan has complied with the requirement of a renewal of a liquor license to have the certificate of liquor liability insurance. That's required by state law. But one thing that's lacking at the moment is his certificate of inspection, which also isn't part of the state law. In order for that license to be approved as renewal, the certificate needs to be filed. And by virtue of the fact that Mr. Can had filed his renewal application in a timely manner, that is during the month of November, which is state law, he is entitled to automatic renewal of the license, but the actual issuance of the license is contingent upon, as I just mentioned, those two certificates, liability and inspection.
Attorney Steve Panagiotakis, representing Vinod Khan.
My name is Vinod Khan.
Okay. What's the status of the project?
Yeah, I mean, renovations got stalled. We're certainly further down the road than we thought we would be. They had the sign-off on electrical and plumbing today?
Yes.
Yesterday? I believe fire is coming in,
Tomorrow, 1 o'clock.
Health?
Health department and building.
building after that, so it's imminent. We believe everything's up to where it needs to be, so I would think within the next few days, as long as we can get them there.
This is my concern. I was driving down Middlesex Street one day, and there was a big sign that said Crown Nightclub. And from my recollection, I think you were here October of 2011.
I believe so.
And it was not the Crown Nightclub. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's a business model change, if there's a name change, what's going on?
We, with the renovations and things stalling, Mr. Khan started looking about branding the place. And we found the historical significance of the building. It was the old Crown Theater in Lowell. Then it was the Allen Theater. So he thought that name would be more inclusive rather than Khmer Sports Club for a sports club type of business. He's looking to run basically a sports pub with some food and some entertainment. Would have 2 pool tables, 3 to 5 dartboards, 3 TVs, 3 projector TVs. He's also, just so the board knows, recently purchased the building. So he has made a major investment in the city.
I guess if it's always been the intention to be a sports club, why did it have a sign that said nightclub? I know it's not there anymore, but like a month ago it was there. So what was that?
Actually, first we changed to the Crown, and the nightclub was another mistake. We got the consultant coming in to help out to brand the name, and they look at the building permit. There's the change of use from kickboxing to a nightclub.
If I could show you that, I think there was a mistake made because when the building permit was issued, it said interior change to use to change from a kickboxing studio to nightclub. So the person that was helping with them thought it was a nightclub, didn't understand the sports thing.
Right.
Okay, no, I take your representation.
Right, and then after 2 days of the install the sign, I took it down.
Right, okay. I just happened to drive by that one day then that it was up. I don't know if either commissioner has any questions for Mr. Can or Attorney Pange.
When do we think that this is finally all going to come together?
Tomorrow, hopefully, we get everything signed off, and we'll get the occupancy permit. I spoke with Shannon, the inspector, building inspector, and he said he could issue building permit, occupancy permit by tomorrow, too.
So given leeway, hopefully within the next week, I would say, just to make sure. After that, they still have to get all the logistics done for an opening, get the product in, get the cash registers up and running, the computer system. So I would say probably you're looking at 4 weeks or so.
Captain Webb, I know the Lowell Police has their ear to the ground and knows what's going on in these various establishments. Has there been any posters or signage or talk about what this club is going to be that the Lowell Police Department may have heard?
The only information that I heard concerning that issue is that when officers visited the property, they were told by the workers on site that it was going to be a nightclub.
Okay.
I think
those are the people doing the renovations on the property, so I don't know if you can consider that accurate or not.
Is that what that was?
I
what
think
you were
the
trying to explain?
Exactly, and I think the terminology, some people who aren't, specific in the business, know the difference between a restaurant, a lounge, a bar, a nightclub, just call it a nightclub, and I think that's what it is. I mean, Mr. Khan does want to have entertainment and the ability to have entertainment there, and he wants to have some functions there if he can. So that's where we're at.
If I may add, because they're the one who apply for the permits, and they see the sign, the letter read as the nightclub. It's probably that's how they get the idea.
Okay. I think that's just we just wanted to clarify that. I mean, there were members of the Middlesex Street Business Coalition, whatever their title is, that had some questions also about what was going on. So that's why we wanted you to come in and just kind of address what was going on. I don't know if Christy has any questions or Cliff anymore. But I guess that's it, right? Yeah, so good. I wish you good luck.
Thank you,
but, right across the street, there's an establishment that has a lot of night not night issues, but a lot of people at night. So, you know, we just gotta make sure that, you know, there's any intermingling between the two, good security, et cetera, and you're in a main thoroughfare of the city. So hopefully that's good for business, and, you know, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you want to say something, sir? Yeah, why don't you?
I apologize because I'm not familiar with the hearing process.
Okay.
And I'm torn here because I want to have a successful business in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm the president.
Can you just introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. Michael Breda, President of the Board of JAMBRA, which is the association that you referred to.
Yes.
And I have another one of my colleagues here too as well, Kathleen Igmon. And Kathleen is head of the charter school, which is on Jackson Street about a block away.
Right.
So I'm a little confused because I learned about the project through Facebook. And on Facebook, it seemed pretty clear that it was a nightclub coming with people to come on 2 dates to bring their application with their photos, to apply for employment and so on. Personally, I might like to have a nightclub in the neighborhood, but it was unclear to us as neighbors as to what was going on. And that's really the only reason why we came, because we were looking for clarification.
Right.
And of course, we want to make sure that if it is a nightclub, that it operates in a way that is good for the neighborhood. And you know, here in Lowell, we have some clubs, and some of them operate well and some not so well. So that was really our intent to be here 2 weeks ago. And we decided to come tonight, a few of us,
Right.
because it was continued to be a hearing today.
Yeah, I mean, I think your concerns were the same concerns that
Sure.
we had up here, and I think, I don't know for you, but they address, I
Yes.
mean, they laid out what they're gonna be. If it changes, then we're gonna have some issues. But
Sure.
that's what they've represented to us. And what are the planned hours of the, I just can't remember from back in October of 2011.
Right now with the start, I mean, the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, would be from noon time till
Okay.
2.
So
I
there
think
shouldn't
during the
be
weekend.
any interference with the charter school?
No,
They're
I don't think so at all.
typically
I
school
think
hours,
it,
correct?
I think in Monday through Fridays, right now, they're looking probably starting at 4 or something like that.
All right. Anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Move on.
Yeah, one question. So what's the flow of this? They're gonna get their licenses, they're gonna install their equipment. Will the final approval flow automatically now?
Yeah, what I've been doing in the last 4 weeks, there's been restaurant licensee, reservations, there's been Monoram up on Middlesex Street, reservations being on Central Street, El Rincon also on Central Street, 3 licensees who were not compliant as of January 1st, 2013. They did file their renewal applications in a timely way, so they were entitled to a hearing. They've all since been able to submit their certificates of liquor liability and certificate of inspection. So I've notified the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission. I believe the commission has received that copy of that notice with respect to those particular licenses having been approved for the date in which final submittal on the certificates. And anticipate that the one with respect to Mr. Vanakan as the sole proprietor, licensee of record, as they indicated, would be forthcoming in the next week, within the next week or two. I would, with the consent of the commission, ratification of the board, just to automatically renew the note it as being approved and send a notice to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission without delay.
Do we need a motion to that effect? Or we're all set?
If you wish.
All right, well, we'll make a motion to ratify.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We have to open these up for a public hearing, or is it just a? Do we have to open up for a public hearing these ones, or is it just hearing? Yeah, okay. Right.
Commission will now take up the matter by hearing on the revocation of the all-alcoholic beverage club license for Lowell Sports Club, Inc., 490 Central Street, a 2013 renewal application filed in November 2012. But Lowell Sports Club has not complied with the Massachusetts laws that require certificate of inspection to be issued and certificate of liquor liability insurance to be issued in order that the annual license be issued. I did receive a call from the manager of record, Manuel Silva, this afternoon, indicating that he would not be available for this evening's hearing. There was a communication forwarded to the License Commission office in 1st of January with respect to the attorney representing the Lowell Sports Club, Brad Pacheco, indicating that the property had been sold. Manuel Silva had been the owner of the property, and that the license itself would not be retained by the club for the calendar year 2013. But for the sake of formality in terms of the disposition of the license, where it was a timely renewal, following advisory of the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, so that any further issue or any matters that may come up at a later date with respect to this license or the license in itself, the commission may wish to act to revoke the license, short of revocation, just cancel the issue of that license for the calendar year.
I'll make a motion to cancel the license for the calendar year.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Commission now open the hearing on the revocation of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for WKA Investments LLC, 201 Cabot Street, 2013 renewal application filed in November 2012 but WKA Investments has not complied with Mass laws that require certificate of inspection to be issued and certificate of liquor liability insurance to be issued in order that the annual liquor license be issued. This license premises in December, the beginning of December 2012, apparently a bank, Rockland Bank, had conducted a foreclosure, and they compelled the licensee to vacate the premises forthwith. And there's an email communication that the office received in December of 2012, soon thereafter, indicating that Mr. Brasco was not going to seek the license for calendar year 2013. Nonetheless, he did file a timely renewal, and again, I would recommend the commission either to revoke or to cancel the license for 2013.
Make a motion to cancel the license.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, so moved.
And last is with respect to a hearing on the revocation of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for Brazilian Tropic, Inc., 26 Andover Street, 2013 renewal application filed in November 2012. But Brazilian Tropic has not complied with Mass laws that require a certificate of inspection to be issued and certificate of liquor liability to be issued. Therefore, the annual license may not be issued. Kayla Caballo is here presently. She is known to be the manager and owner of the business, and she did communicate to the License Commission office within the last week that there would be no desire on her part to take the license for 2012.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Kayla Carvalho, owner of Brazilian Tropic, Inc. at 26 Andover Street.
Okay, and who do you have with you?
Little Lucas Carvalho.
It's your intention not to take the license?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We had sold the business, we are going to transferring, and the people who was buying gave up, and we just,
Okay,
too busy
Too
to care
busy.
for business.
all right, all right. I'll make a motion to cancel the license.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, the next item on the agenda is with respect to review a proposal of revision of the rules and regulations of the Lowell License Commission, beginning with the July 19, 2012 draft, as proposed by the License Commission on January 31st, 2013, and the License Commission will review amendments thereto. Initially, I've just passed out the July 19th draft, and there will be, Commissioner Krieger has a review and questions that I will pass out short in the, I can do that right now if you like. Okay.
I guess while Ryan is doing that, I think, I was hoping to avoid going section by section on these, but it seems like, again, with the City of Lowell Law Department providing us information at the 11th hour, that's what we're gonna have to do. You know, we didn't receive the comments from the Law Department until 6:25 tonight, so we haven't had time to review them. So we're gonna have to do it the hard way instead of the easier way that it could have been done. So
I know that, if I may, just one thing, I did have the copies of what was submitted by the Law Department last meeting. I think you've just received something new relative to what might have been submitted?
Yes.
Okay, so that, if you need the copy from the last, I have it available. Okay.
I would say more like the clock for possibility of nuclear war instead of the 11th hour.
All right, so I guess we can start at section 1.01. It seems as, I guess the city can just chime in if they have any comments, but it doesn't seem like they have an issue with 1.01.
Actually,
Yeah, sure.
in terms of what you got, it's pretty much the same thing that we've been giving you all along. I don't know what easier method you were looking to have. Last time I had, along with the police department, had requested that what gets reviewed is just what was submitted by the council and by the law department, and by the police department and the manager's office, which was the original set of rules and regulations. That set was amended by the former commission.
No, it's not a former commission. It had former members. It's still the same license commission.
The former makeup of the commission, and it never, and then those revisions never went anywhere. Subsequent to that, back in November, the law department forwarded to the commission the same rules and regulations that had originally sent to the commission. And those are also given to the council, putting them on notice that that's what we were sending once again to the License Commission, which I believe the council had requested that be done. At the last meeting, unbeknownst to us, what we had requested be considered by the commission apparently was rejected, and what was instead taken up were rules and regulations that were not essentially forwarded to the License Commission. With respect to the timing, again, there's nothing new here. It's the exact same rules and regulations that have now been given to the License Commission. I think this is the fourth time. And the only thing new last week was what Attorney Veloso had indicated to the committee. And the only reason you were just getting that, it was essentially one new provision, and it had to do with the gallery issue, which was something that had just developed in recent weeks. So anyway, with that, that's where we are right now.
Okay. And just, I guess, for all of the viewers out there and people in the hall, the License Commission is a quasi-judicial board. We're to maintain independence. We are not, at least my opinion of what a quasi-judicial board is we do not take direction from the city of Lowell. We take suggestions, and we do not take direction from the business owners of the city of Lowell. We take their suggestions, and ultimately it's our decision as a body of three as to what the rules and regulations are going to be. So I just wanted to put that out there before we start. So I guess we'll start with section 1.01.
In the introduction.
Sure. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
I had suggested adding on the second sentence, which would be the third line, that we just say alcohol beverage license holders must familiarize themselves. It may be that we're repeating ourselves, but just.
Yeah, I guess the reason why, just my comment on that, is that section 6, I believe, of these rules are common Vittler license, and we have establishments throughout the city that have common Vittler license, but not alcohol licenses. So maybe that's why the word license holders was in there instead of alcohol license.
But we call this alcohol beverage regulations.
You're right. You're right.
So, yeah, the section 6 thing, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going to entitle it alcohol beverages regulations, I mean, I have no problem with inserting the word alcohol beverage license holders.
Wait, I'm sorry,
In the introduction to the rules, the introduction to the regulations.
I thought we were at 101, okay.
The third sentence says license holders must familiarize yourself, and Commissioner Krieger would like to insert alcohol beverage license holders. I have.
Let me take a look at 6 and see if maybe you have a good point. Are there other rules for food service that we've issued? Is there another set of rules for common titular license holders?
Yes, there is. It is, had been incorporated in the original regulations. This draft, I don't believe, duly notes that, so I may be mistaken. I'll have to just peruse this 1 second, please. Food service is 6.01. So would that be of?
I guess, I think the question he's asking is, are there other rules other than this set, or the set that's currently in place that we give to common Vittler license?
All common Vittler licensees have the non-alcoholic common Vittler licensees.
Yeah.
Initially, no, there had been nothing on their license. There is state law with respect to, there is a requirement of the matter of licensing. There is the health department, which inspects the common victular licensees, as does the health department inspect those common victular licensees that hold liquor licenses. Is a little background on issuing and granting or issuing a license for common victular. Typically, the applicant, however they choose to file, whether it be a corporation, sole proprietor, partnership, prove that, and then a copy of their business certificate. But in addition, they have to have the health inspection approval. Suffice to say, that is the sum total of the regulation as far as a common victular is concerned, making sure that the health department has inspected and found the place in compliance. The state law, Massachusetts, Chapter 138, General Laws of Massachusetts, specifically has 6 types of licenses, and that limits the licensing boards in the cities and towns in Massachusetts to granting licenses, whether it be for a restaurant, for a hotel, club, tavern, general on-premise, and the general on-premise and the club do not have common victular licenses. The restaurant, hotel, the restaurant has a common victular's license. The hotel has an inn-holder's license. The tavern has a common victular's license. General on-premise, like I said, does not have a common victular's license. So, what the content was initially when the commission was looking at the bars and restaurants in the city, who somehow have it in their minds, as Commissioner Occasion has alluded to in other matters we've discussed here this evening, a change in business model, where initially they have a restaurant, and they have something that's set up to serve and prepare food on the premises in compliance with the health code and health department regulations. They suddenly decided that they don't want to serve food anymore. But all the License Commission was doing about 10 years ago was attempting to enforce, compel them to have some type of food service, even if it was limited to a microwave pizza or a convection oven that would just provide some food that would be a minimum, to meet the minimum requirement for having food available on the premises. The question of whether the License Commission wants to enforce the provision of a common victular holding a liquor license to have food all times it's operating, that's within the jurisdiction of the licensing board. So to answer your question, essentially specific to all common victular licensees, they don't get a set of regulations from the office. The health department is looked upon to be the...
But if I was running Elliott's Hot Dogs and not selling beer, I wouldn't need to refer to these rules.
No, you're not looking, this is specifically for the alcohol beverages.
Okay.
Those are the licensees where, this is the regulations for those alcohol beverage licensees.
That's good then.
So, well, that's a motion to insert alcohol beverage license holders?
Yes, sir.
That's seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved. All right, on to section 1.01. I don't know if anyone has any changes to that.
Okay. I'm good.
I'll make a motion to approve 1.01.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Section 1.02.
Let's see, fourth sentence. 1. Fourth sentence.
Just for, if I could just be a little update on some of the issues that you're looking at now, Commissioner Krieger, and I know you're, One of the things that was a subject of topic in the last round of review of the regulations was to do with whether it was necessary to have in the regulations of the License Commission anything that might also be covered by state law or by state regulation. For example, in one issue with respect to legal notice, it is specifically required in a section of Chapter 138 of the Inland Laws of a publication of a legal notice in certain instances, such as an application for a new license, application for a transfer of license, or a publication of a legal, or for that matter, transfer of stock in a current corporate licensee. That's noted in the Section 15A of 138. So it was some of the approach to the revision of these regulations, as we're looking at this draft of July 19th, it pretty much removed the necessity of having to repeat what was already in state law. That doesn't mean it doesn't belong there or shouldn't belong there, just that that was the direction it was going. License Commission was going last time around.
I understand the sentence that you are, it says, an application for retail license requires the publication of a legal notice paid for by the applicant. The next sentence, information regarding legal notice, publication, and notification to abutters and to the governing body of a church, school, and hospital within a radius of 500 feet. That's not a complete sentence.
Okay, so it doesn't really this doesn't make sense. Yeah, I appreciate that.
That should be an easy fix, though, right?
Right, I can, like the next sentence would say, well, the License Committee Executive Secretary may assist an applicant in filing retail license application. But
Can't you just put legal, couldn't you just put legal notice?
It's available, I can make it available with an application that's on the website of the License Commission webpage in the City of Lowell license website.
We can just add at 500 feet is also available from the License Commission office.
Yep.
So just to clarify it, right?
An application requires publication of legal notice. Requires legal notice, publication, notification. I'm sorry, how do you want to change that, Mr. Chairman?
I think we could just add information regarding legal notice publication and notification to abutters and to the governing body of a church, school, and hospital within a radius of 500 feet can be attained from the License Commission office?
Yes.
Okay. Make that a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Somewhere in here, probably further down, and I missed up here, we use the word church. Should we use house of worship? Because we've got more than churches in town these days.
I think that's section 1.05, but
It is, but I also noticed that we have the word church up here in 102, which I'd missed.
I know Secretary Wynn can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that is the exact language from the statute, the Massachusetts, I think it's 138, section 15A, or one of those.
It's 16C references the church, school, or hospital, and a question of whether in any other proceedings, or whether it be court matter that may have arisen, whether church can be all-inclusive, I don't know, but specific to the language of the statute, it just limits it to church, school, or hospital. And then it defines a church, what would constitute a church in terms of the physical structure itself. In other words, if you were using the cloakroom as a church, that would not be a church as far as the definition of a law.
How about a storefront church?
Huh?
Storefront church. I've seen a couple of storefront churches in Lowell.
I suspect, when we do get an application for an original license, I'm looking to the city engineer's department for a check of any church, school, or hospital within a radius of 500 feet to cover the aspect of 16C. Relying upon their judgment, I don't know whether the property owner or somewhere along the line with respect to the use of the building, whether if it's a business if it's a property that's owned by a business and suddenly the landlord decides to rent it out to, as you indicated, storefront church, it may not be on record as being a church in any way, shape, or form as far as.
I think this is my hobby horse, and I think I need to do more research.
Okay.
So I'm happy to leave it go as church.
All right. Okay. So are we on to, made a motion to approve 1.02 as amended?
Yeah.
1.05?
Now we're on 1.03 now.
Where are we?
1.03?
1.03?
1.03.
I'm sorry.
It actually says church in 1.02. I think that's
Okay, I
that's
see.
why
I'm
we
sorry.
got the
Okay.
discussion started there.
Okay. So 1.03 now.
Top of page 2, should it read or?
Yeah, that's my fault, because I... Top of page 2, should it read? Yeah, the way it reads now is applicable to the ABCC and the Commonwealth of Mass certified check. So the question is, should it read by
By.
certified check?
Make a motion to insert by in between Commonwealth of Mass and certified check. And we can
Second.
we can decapitalize the C. All those in favor say
Okay, may I
aye.
just interject on that score, if I
Yeah.
may? The Alcohol Beverages Control Commission will accept business checks as far as the, what happens, like, for instance, you've granted 2 applications this evening for Mariachi and also for Sonpei Mass Hall. Each one, either through their business account or through their attorney, had filed a business check or professional check to cover the $200 filing fee to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission.
Why don't we change the language to, filing fees required by the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission must be made payable to the ABCC or Commonwealth of Massachusetts in form of a check acceptable to the ABCC.
Perfect. So moved.
Somebody make a motion, second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Okay, the last line here, the question was, it says whatever kind or due to the city. So I was wondering is that just the business, or is it the people associated with the business, or don't we care?
I'm sorry, where was it?
The last sentence, no approved license, sorry, no approved licenses will be issued on any checks returned by the bank or if any outstanding monies of whatever kind are due to the city. Whatever kind suggests to me from the business and from the people involved in the business. Caveat, I'm not a lawyer.
What generally happens is that, just procedurally, when a licensee has been approved, like the local board by the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission as well, and they're in compliant with the code and certificate of inspection, certificate of liquor liability insurance, it's then when the license can be issued. That bank check for the payable to the city of Lowell for the liquor license fee goes directly to the city treasurer's office. I know in this last round of renewals in December, when all of the licensees were paying their fees, the city treasurer's office has the wherewithal to check to make sure that, A, the property owner is in compliant with whatever outstanding taxes, if there are any. B, to make sure that the licensee or the business owner has no outstanding, like, personal property tax due to the city of Lowell. or any such matter as that. So that's all like within the confines of the office of the city treasurer. At that time, and particularly when the liquor licenses are being issued. So if,
it's all connected with the business. The owner or the manager hasn't paid taxes on his house, we don't care. It's just focused on the business.
I wouldn't know if the license commission ought to venture into that. I mean, I would just leave that to the other authorities to wish to want to intervene on that. But property tax, as far as that's concerned, if you own a house and you also own the business downtown and you're licensed to sell alcohol at that, and you're not paying your property tax or you're in arrears, I think the city probably has the method, like I said, indicate with you with respect to the city treasurer handling the renewal of the liquor license. They may also confront you with the fact that you are a delinquent taxpayer on the property. I can't speak for the treasurer's office that way, but they would know. They would have that record. They want to pursue that.
We had provisions in here with respect to the taxes. And that was one that was altered. As far as the city's practice in terms of following the Mass General laws, in the event that an applicant is in arrear on their taxes, even their own property taxes, we will hold the issuance of necessary permits and licenses and then give them an opportunity to enter into a payment plan if they agree to do that. And if not, the license can be withheld.
It just seemed ambiguous to me here, and I just was looking for some clarification. I mean, if we're indifferent, we can leave it to whichever way it flops down in the tax office.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it either way, but I don't know how you guys. Okay, so.
Strike that?
All right, so I'll make them strike.
Strike
that.
my change.
All right.
The heck with my change.
All right, so we'll make a motion to approve that section as amended.
1.3?
1.03, yes.
104 annual licenses. Prior to the issuance of any new or existing license, I just thought it would read better as any new license or license renewal. Because we don't issue an existing license, we issue a renewal. I mean, the existing license was issued.
Prior to the
Yeah.
issuance of any new license or license renewal. I'll second that motion.
So it's renewal of license.
Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the section 1.04. Yeah, say aye. All opposed?
Aye.
No. All right, so moved. Right, 1.05. I agree with your comment, Commissioner Krieger, that it should say notification to public abutters, churches, or schools.
Okay. So I move that we make it plural.
Plural, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
The title of 1.05, notification to public abutters, churches, or schools. And I know the city has some comments that they'd like to.
Yeah, that just refers to the language that was originally in 105.
Yeah.
And again, we indicated in our draft that, something additional that the license commission should require, and also proof that they comply with the proper notifications of butters.
Massachusetts general laws are promulgated by the legislature. At least that's my understanding. And in chapters 138 and 140, they set out the notification requirements. And Ryan, have we ever had an issue where the notification requirements haven't been met through the Mass General laws that you're aware of?
Well, we'd go back a few years. There was an instance where an application for a package store license in which there was an attorney representing the applicant, and as I recall, there was a failure to notify the school, the superintendent of schools, because there is, or it was, I don't know if it's still there, a public school within a 500-foot radius, and the notice was not sent to the, it may not necessarily that it wasn't sent, but it was just that the language in the notice did not let it be known to the governing body of the school, the public school, the superintendent of schools at the time, that they have the right to submit written objection. So there was some issue on the technical aspect of that. It was appealed to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission by a group of 25 taxpayers, and the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission heard the appeal, and I believe it was remanded back to the local board for a new hearing, which subsequently the local board did hold a new hearing, made sure that all of the i's and t's were taken care of. Subsequently, that license was granted. So that would be the issue, if anything, about that. It's just there's a very specific way of notifying a church, school, or hospital, the governing body therefore, or thereof, and you have to let it be known to that governing body in the notice that they have the right to written objection. And then it's up to the licensing board to make the determination whether there's cause to deny a license, if there'd be such an objection.
Yeah, I don't know if the language proposed by the city is superfluous, or whether the statute covers it. I guess that's, I guess I have the position that more government doesn't mean better government, just because, I mean, we tell you where the statutory requirements for notification are in the rules and regulations.
All I can suggest is that I think what the law department is attempting to do is make sense, and only in the sense in that because you need to really spell it out with some applicants. You really need to explain to them what they need to do, what they need to understand is necessary. And I know that there was a mindset last year where if it's already in the statute, why do we have to have it in a regulation? Again, it goes back to that issue. But I know firsthand in dealing with the applicants and licensees that sometimes you have to underscore a point, and
But is this, I mean, I tend to agree with the chairman. More government tends to actually be detrimental.
This is just a procedural thing. This is to protect the applicant. Actually, is to
yeah.
protect the applicant, really.
I understand that, but is this something that could be handled with a handout that you developed and issued over
I could
your
take this verbatim and just, as it's written.
Because the goal is to help these people get a business going and make it survive and thrive, right?
Here, you're
Within our
just looking at the initial stage of an application, just making sure that the statute, where its intent is to make sure that all that the applicant is required to do is notify property owners touching, abutters, knowing the difference between a property owner touching as opposed to going across the street. You don't need to go across the street. By state law, it doesn't require it. You also have to give consideration to anything within a 500-foot radius that is a church, school, or hospital.
Could we ask, Madam Solicitor, is there any problem with taking some of these things and putting them in a handout issued by the executive secretary? Because in the end, what's approved is the final package, and if they don't conform, they don't conform. I don't think we want.
Sure, that's one approach. I suppose the downside of that approach is that if it's not in the rules and there's a violation of it that comes to the attention of the commission, then it may not be something that the commission can take action on. As far as coming forward to the commission and providing them proof and sort of walking them through this, I think as Ryan was indicating, all of these things are intended to sort of put people on notice and give them more information as they go through the process, and make sure that it's done correctly, and make sure that everyone that's supposed to be getting notice is in fact getting notice. This is actually, I think, closer to some of the other notification requirements. What's that?
If they don't do it right,
Mhm.
the ultimate sanction is they don't get a license.
Well, let me just,
I mean, I don't want to punish people for...
the recourse in the sense of notifying, now, noting here it's 300 feet of the property line. In the statute, it doesn't mention that. So the question is then, if there's an appeal if a property owner wants to claim that he or she was not properly notified, did not receive notice of an application, the issue with respect to the statute is one thing, saying property owner touching. Local regulation should it read, if it should read, within 300 feet of property line, for example, would the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission recognize that as valid if the license was denied? Say that you didn't, or the application was denied because the property owners within 300 feet were not notified, as opposed to anything that's just touching.
I mean, I think that's my concern, but I guess we rely on the opinion of the solicitor, but I think there would be some preemption issues, definitely, that we're trying to usurp Massachusetts general laws, I believe. Yes.
We might have given an opinion on this when that argument was raised. I can't recall, but in essence, as long as we comply with the Mass General laws, which we would be, generally speaking, you can always make it more restrictive so long as you're going in the right direction, so to speak. So there certainly wouldn't be these proposals wouldn't be repugnant to the general laws, and that would be the standard for usurping any authority of the statute.
I guess my concern is now that it's another hurdle for the businesses to climb to notify abutters within 300 feet when the statute just says property owners touching. So that's one concern I have. For the other issue is that, when people say they're not notified, I have issues with that because all of these are put in the newspaper. They're all posted online. If someone wants to know, they'll know.
I have to admit that I'm a little embarrassed that I've never actually read a legal notice in the Lowell Sun, but I try and read the comments.
Because you're not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer,
Yeah.
yes.
You
Can I say that
get
with-
the Lowell Sun.
Pride, I am not a lawyer. Although, I will say that I did better than my lawyer's son on the LSAT. But he's the one that went to law school.
It is expensive to send a notice by certified mail return receipt. That's a given. It's about, it's almost $5 a notice.
I have no issue with including this language, deferring to the secretary. He thinks this would have, if we take out that sentence about the abutters list shall include owners of land directly opposite on any public or private street, if we take out and abutters to abutters within 300 feet of the property line. I mean, that's not what the statute says. The statute is clear. I don't see why we have to continue to expand it. I don't see what that's going to get us. I think that's just, I don't see that protecting the public. I mean, that's what we're here to balance, the business and the public and what's best for the city. And I don't think by expanding it an additional radius, that's going to, I think it's too much, but that's my personal opinion.
I guess I'm new, so I'm not, I don't have a firm opinion on this. I tend to go with less rather than more. And later on in the meeting, I have a proposed agenda item where we take a look at this 8 months hence and see how it's been working. I think I'd like to defer this to that point.
Well, just for an example, you had this application this evening, Marachi Foods. With respect to their notifying the property owners touching, the applicant submitted an affidavit. The applicant submitted a proof of notice to the property owners touching, and just for the purpose of the discussion, the property owners touching from the city assessor's office includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 property owners whose premises touch 124 Merrimack Street. In addition, you had St. Anne's Church, St. Joseph's Worker Shrine, the high school, and the Freshman Academy. All of whom had to be notified by the applicant for this particular license application.
And that's just a abutters touching. If we expand that to 300 feet for that,
Well, here's, I think, a classic example is the issue with Brian's Ivy Hall. That business, where it's situated in the 3rd floor, and there is an alley that separates the building that's known as the Mahler's Loft, which is on Funds Middle Street. But there's an alleyway that's probably like about 10 feet width, if that, maybe 20 at max. And that, there was nothing at the time when that application was before the License Commission. At the time, we didn't believe that it was a property owner touching type of situation. Now it's come to find out it is a property owner touching, because there is, the land itself meets at midpoint in the alley.
Yeah.
That the property owner for, at the time, for Brian's Ivy Hall building, at the time was Mr. Saab, and the property of Mahler's Loft, which is a condominium association, technically, they should have been notified, but it was not believed to be such a.
Okay, so the alley is not a street, I got that. But I'd like to go back to St. Anne's and St. Joseph's. I mean, they're separated by a distance. They're abutters to,
they're a church, school, hospital within the 500 feet.
They're within 500 feet.
Okay.
That's determined by the city engineer's office.
I just think having to notify all abutters to abutters within 300 feet is excessive.
You have, in downtown Lowell, you now have buildings that are now condominiums. There you might have issue with the fact that I may own a unit, you may own, we all may own units in a particular building. One of us may have an issue with the business that's just opening up there, but the fact that it's not a touching property, it doesn't get notified. None of us get notification, it's not touching. The property line is not touching, but that's within 300 feet, let's say, for example. So that's where the problems arise when certain licensed businesses come in with one business model, subsequently change that business model. And that becomes the issue when somebody says, well, why wasn't I notified? And that's not uncommon. But then you will say, well, the answer to that was because they weren't a property owner touching. And now if, in fact, if it was within 300 feet and being notified, doesn't have to touch, but it's within 300 feet, they would been sent the notice. That doesn't mean that they may not have objected, only until such time as later on, when the business model changed from a restaurant to a nightclub. And that's when the problems come up. So the License Commission then has it, with the wherewithal to impose certain sanctions if they wish, as far as entertainment is concerned, for example.
All right, what's the pleasure on this one?
I want to defer the 300 feet thing for a few months. I want to see how the other things work
Right.
out in the enforcement and all that.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we include the language in 1.05, that we add the excuse me, strike that I'll make a motion that we add the language of, that the city solicitor suggested in their handout today, but deleting it, the third sentence of the second paragraph. The abutters list shall include owners of land directly opposite on any public, private street or way, period, and strike the remaining portion of that sentence. And add that to the current language of 1.05.
Okay, so I'm sorry, so the third sentence of the second paragraph is to be deleted or to?
No, the abutters list shall include the owners of land directly opposite on any public or private street.
And leave it at that?
Period.
Period.
Yeah.
And balance be just
How about
strict.
street away?
Street away, period. And then strike the remaining portion of that sentence.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to second that, and I'd like to propose an amendment to that.
Sure.
That on the first line where it says the Lowell Sun newspaper, it's the Sun.
I'll second that amendment.
I had said, put Lowell in parentheses if you want to, but that's just my work.
So publication of legal notice will be made in the Lowell Sun.
You just want to make the Sun.
It's the Sun.
The Sun, not Lowell Sun?
Hasn't been for
It's not okay, it's not a Lowell Sun, just the Sun.
the
Okay.
Sun. Put it in italics.
In italics.
All right,
so
I have a second to that? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get really clear. So then that's the second change right there. And that's,
Yes.
okay.
So we have a second on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, 1.06.
Excuse me, I'm extracting this.
Sure.
Okay, they've got nothing, and I had asked about, in a previous draft, we'd used a sort of more expansive term. So now I have to go find a different one. Not it.
If I could just offer something in regards to the state and the federal.
Yeah.
I certainly know the Department of Revenue will do due diligence to check on licensees, anything that's submitted to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission for approval, be it a change of manager, transfer of license, application for a new license. The Department of Revenue by the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission is duly notified, and the Department of Revenue will pursue any issue that they find a problem with on a particular transaction. Neither the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission nor the City of Lowell License Commission, or City of Lowell for that matter, know what transpires between the Department of Revenue and a licensee or a license applicant. It's all confidential. And so, for all intents and purposes, the state takes care of it in its own way. And I'm sure if the Internal Revenue Service has any issue with the business, they've been known, and I believe they did so recently with one of our licensees, closed the establishment down for some issue relating to taxes. Unbeknownst to the licensing board, they just did it because of with whatever the state or federal law allows for, they can do just that. So it's And this was language that goes back years ago, way back.
Do you have, is there a suggestion that you have?
I had just wanted to, the version said, so payment of federal, state, and city tax obligations. And we say, maintain for, all taxes and charges owed to the city of Lowell must be paid on a current basis. So I would just change that, all taxes and charges owed to the federal government, the state, and the city of Lowell must be paid on a current basis.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Okay. Thank you.
1.07.
I got nothing.
The city wants to add in that section, I don't believe it's in our version, but the city version, you want to add a section about tax obligations?
Right, the language, page 2, we highlighted the language that had been in section 107, regarding tax obligations. And it first of all speaks to the issue that Commissioner Krieger was addressing, and it also makes it clear that the tax obligation covers not just state and federal, but also local taxes as well. And it also puts applicants on notice that this is a requirement, to whatever extent they might not have been aware that in failing to do that, it can be an issue with their license. And it has been an issue that the Commission and the Law Department have had to deal with, as well as the ABCC with some of the license holders. There was one recently around, a couple actually around this, that was an issue. And one actually went on.
When was that? When has that happened, that where the license commission has had to take action because of someone's failure to pay taxes?
Actually, it was a case where I believe the license commission should have taken action, but the tax issue went on for some time. It was, I'm trying to think of the name of the establishment, but they didn't have a new manager of record, and but were allowing the business to remain open. And eventually the ABCC, I believe, stepped in and denied it based on, in part, the fact that they were severely in arrears on their taxes. So this is a provision that appears in a lot of other communities' rules and regulations with respect to taxes. When we addressed this last time, some members of the commission were of the view that it just wasn't the responsibility of the license commission to have to deal with an applicant who hadn't paid their taxes.
But doesn't the wording as revised cover that? All taxes and charges owed to the federal government, state, and city of Lowell must be paid on a current basis. Failure to comply with any of these laws and regulations may result in revocation, suspension, modification of the license.
I agree with
Yeah,
you.
with that change,
Crucifixion.
it does help.
Yep.
And again, this was intended to highlight it in its own section, which is how it appears in many other communities. But at least with the change, it begins to make it clear that at a minimum, it's not just state and federal; it also includes local.
Okay. And then, let's see how we're gonna do this. How about, I guess we'll go with the city's version here, 1.08, compliance with the building code.
Yes, thank you. This was an issue that also became quite relevant in the sense that there were issues as to whether some license holders were making modifications to their premises and were not in effect in compliance with either building code or fire code, and this was intended to make sure that applicants were well aware that at all times, whether applying for their license or after having received their license, that they could not make substantive changes to their building without being, and having to be in compliance with the building code.
Correct me,
Also,
keep going. Okay. correct me if I'm wrong, the Office of Inspectional Services, they have jurisdiction if someone is not in compliance with the building code?
They do.
And they can shut the place down or close it down or take whatever. But if, the only way we would know that they were not in compliance with the building code is if Inspectional Services told us, correct?
Well, no, not necessarily. The way this is intended to work is to, again, be proactive and put applicants on notice that this is a requirement, it's something that they need to be cognizant of, and not something that after the fact, someone turns to the commission or to the building department and says that they really weren't aware of it. I think it was an issue that came up quite.
Does Inspectional Services have a requirement to notify us if they find a problem?
I'm sure they would. In fact, they have. There have been communications from the Inspectional Services Department sent to the commission in the past. Some of those were placed on file and of alleged violations. But I believe this was an issue with respect to
But I guess this is my concern, is that with Fortunatos, is the License Commission supposed to know that they're not in compliance with the building code? That's their job. This is our job. I think this is just trying to pass the buck, and I think, in fact, it's opening up the License Commission to more liability. So I wouldn't be in favor of putting this one through. I mean, that's what the Office of Inspectional Services is for.
If I find that I believe someone has been out doing this construction without a permit, what am I as a licensed commissioner gonna do? Rat them out to the inspectional services? Call you? Call Ryan?
I suppose you could notify the inspectional services, but the intent of this was not to in any way put a burden on the License Commission members, but to put a burden on those who are applying, and not so much a burden, but again, putting them on notice that this is something that they need to be cognizant of. As far as liability, this is something that under 258, there really wouldn't be any liability for the commission. It doesn't create any liability for the city to make those requirements in the event that somebody failed to follow them.
Well, all I know is if I was an attorney and someone was injured as a result.
You are an attorney.
You know, but if I was an attorney representing an establishment or an individual who was injured because of at a bar or a restaurant that serves alcohol and was injured because of some violation of the building code, I would sue the City of Lowell License Commission in addition to the Office of Inspectional Services. And I don't want to open up this board and myself to any liability, so I wouldn't, it's not my cup of tea, but whatever you guys think.
Even I was smart enough to go check with the people at City Hall when I wanted to put a fillet in my driveway towards the parking pad, and found out as long as it wasn't more than 10%, I was clean. I didn't have to have a permit. But, don't we all know that we have to go check?
Well, again, that was an issue with Fortunato's where there were alterations made, and what ended up happening also, and where it dovetails into jurisdiction before this commission, is that it actually changed, because of some of the construction changes, it ended up changing the use of that establishment, and they had more people in, and then it eventually led to the very disturbing incident that we had there.
And the inspectional services notified my predecessors here on the commission that this happened?
No, the city, along with the License Commission, along with the building department, were notified of these changes after the incident. That's when they realized that the applicant, the license holder, went ahead and made these changes and hadn't notified anybody. And again, the hope would be that by at least putting this in your rules and regulations, you'd be putting people on notice that this is something that can't be done and shouldn't be done, to whatever extent that the message apparently didn't get through the first time to that license holder.
My preference is that this should be part of a list of do's and don'ts that are issued over the signature of the executive secretary, so that guiding people on what's the right way to do things, so that the rules themselves don't become big and cumbersome.
Right, okay.
Well, the question is then, if you have this as a regulation and there is a violation, the complaint will come before the board on the violation to take disciplinary action if it's so inclined. That's the point of the regulation, is to pursue taking disciplinary measures if violations occur.
But section 1.06 that I believe we already approved, correct? Says, all licensed shall maintain their premises and operations in full compliance with all local, state, federal laws, including but not limited to fire codes, applicable state and local building codes, all health and sanitary codes, etc. Failure to comply with any of these laws or regulations may result in revocation, suspension, modification. So this is just reiterating that. So I think it's superfluous. So I think if there is a violation, 1.06 allows us to deal with it. So it wouldn't be.
So you've approved 106 as it is?
Yeah, well, with whatever change,
modification.
change. We had a minor change to it about federal, state, and tax, didn't we?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, but we've approved that with that. And that covers us. If there's a violation of the building code, we can bring a complaint under that section. We don't need to have an additional section. Okay, so, you know, I don't know about the other people here, but, you know, I think, you know, we've been at this meeting for 2 hours, and I think we have a couple, I mean, they're all, I guess they all tie in, but, I mean, maybe we can do a couple more sections, but then it would be my suggestion that we continue this to the next meeting. Because I think it's getting kind of late, and I think if we took home this city's, you know, review of what they want, it will be easier for us to plow through it next time.
Actually, what would be, I think would be perfect, although I admit to being a Mac guy, I would drag out my PC if we got an access database that did the cross-reference kind of thing, so that we know what's here, what's here, what's here, or I'd settle for Word documents.
Well, I think the city can give this in a Word document. I mean,
That's what we gave you last time. It was intended to show what was originally submitted, what was originally taken out, and that's all that was given last time, was just an easy-to-follow roadmap, which is what I'm looking at right now, which contains all the strikeouts and all the language that currently exists. This, what we gave you tonight, which was intended to, in addition to the section-by-section review, was also intended to again, just make it easier and quicker to once again walk you through all the sections that had been adjusted before. So we can do that again.
So I'll make a motion that we continue this to the next meeting.
Second.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last time, I don't know if there's any interest in doing this, but in the past, when we went over the rules and regulations, the License Commission had held special meetings where this was all that we covered. And I think we did those a couple of afternoons, or we could do them in the evening, whatever was suitable for the commission. I don't know if that's something that the commission would want to entertain again, but certainly, if so, the law department could make itself available for that.
I think it might make sense for the next meeting to, which I think is February 28th, if we can start this at 5 o'clock and just pick up with this, and then at 6:30 hold our regular hearing, the regular meeting, so that way we get, if that's okay with you guys, I don't know how everyone's scheduled, but at least you get an hour and a half of this, and then we can go on to the meeting, and then be done with it. I think that may make the most sense, if that's, assuming, I know we've got placed at this time slot, it was easier before when we had the other time slot, but I'm assuming no one's using this, we can do that. If not, we'll have to meet in the mayor's reception room.
There are people that are actually hanging in here. Should we ask them if they have an opinion? Because they apparently, can we ask them to testify?
You have it, you already have it.
Well, I think with, you can come up here, Mr. Petrakis, but
I just want to ask a fast question.
yeah, go right ahead.
I have to say who I am or anything?
Yeah, introduce yourself.
My name is Nick Petrakis, and I'm a licensee holder within the city. And basically, my question is, since there's two new commissioners, which is my pleasure to meet you, are we going to get to say anything? Because I don't know what the process is. I know, you know what I mean? I don't know whether, we're just here to listen, or whether we're going to just actually, voice our, our concerns or what we think, whatever, since, you know what I mean, it affects, my livelihood. That's all I got, so, you know what I mean? So I don't know what the process is.
Speaking for myself and not the other two commissioners, I thought the process would go similar to the last time, where we would have this with the city solicitor, the police department, ourselves, draft up a set of regulations,
Okay.
and then have that hearing like we did last time, where
Okay, I just don't know if that-
95% of the people spoke against it.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we'll do again,
Okay.
and then see what happens. Yeah.
I just didn't know the process. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is the executive secretary, wasn't this or a version of this posted on the website?
Yes, sir.
So it's available to people on the website?
Right now it is, yes. I mean, what I did, what you're looking at now is I expanded it to make it easier.
It is
One could
easier.
look at and read and maybe insert something here or there if you wish. I can change it to this, where it's set up presently, what you have in front of you. I'll change it to that. No, that's easily
So I'll
done.
make a motion to continue this portion of this, excuse me. Make a motion to continue this agenda item until 5 o'clock on February 28th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda.
Commission has from the Commissioner Cliff Krieger, the city manager requests Department of Planning and Development provide the License Commission before the subsequent meeting a memo giving us a qualitative or vice quantitative review of business in both the downtown area and across the rest of the city with regard to establishments that serve alcohol and other businesses and activities that could be directly or indirectly influenced by businesses we license.
I'm trying to make up for not having been born in Lowell. So I want to take advantage of what expertise exists in DPD.
So that's a motion.
That's a motion.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Next on the agenda?
From Commissioner Cliff Krieger, proposed that the License Commission, once it approves revised rules, schedule a hearing at a regular meeting 8 months hence to allow residents and city officials to provide input on the success, effectiveness, and value of the revised rules.
You're very optimistic, because I thought that's what was gonna happen last time, and it didn't, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're being presumptuous or
I'm
what.
just assuming that we're going to work through this and we're going to approve something, and then we need to go back and take a look at it, not a year from now. 6 months seem too short. I like even numbers, so I picked 8. But by then, I think, but I would like to defer to Captain Webb if he thinks, from his enforcement point of view, if 8 months would be enough to judge how we're doing.
It's just as difficult for me to predict the future as any of you, but I think that would give us perhaps a taste of how we would do it with any new regulations.
I'd just like to amend the motion to if it approves the revised rules.
Yes, I agree.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. And the reason why I say that, I'm not trying to be funny, is that, you know, the hearing could come, and we could have sat, and this is what I think happened last time, is that we sat and we did the same exercise, and we had, you know, it was a little more combative between the police and the solicitor and this board, but then it came to the, you know, we approved the set, and then it came to it, and we didn't approve the overall version. So that's why I just wanted to change that to if, because it could happen again, I don't know.
It could.
Yeah.
Belabor it, but I think it's a very good motion and a very good change, also because it highlights the fact for the public that, that there isn't a foregone conclusion here, that it's going to go through an open and honest process, and it may or may not get passed after listening to to members of the public.
Okay. And then next on the agenda?
City Council motion, this is from Councilor Mercier, Rita Mercier. On January 29th, 2013, of the city manager request License Commission revisit and place on their agenda for discussion reducing annual license fees for alcoholic beverages for veteran clubs, members, guests, to equal the amount of a restaurant license fees.
If I may, I'd like to propose that we defer this till, at least till the 28th.
Yeah, I think that's a wise move. And considering we're taking up the fees in the regulations, I think at that time, and I think another, just while I don't want to stay too long, but while we're here, I think it might be appropriate at that time when we get there to refer it back to the city manager to see if by reducing those fees, you know, what the financial ramifications to the city will be, but we can deal with it then. So I'll second that motion to continue it to the 28th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
So moved. And with that, I wish
I move to adjourn.
Well, you gotta let me say Happy Valentine's Day to
Oh,
everybody.
okay, sorry,
All right.
go ahead.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Happy Valentine's Day.